Hey, everybody. Thank you for hopping on to West Side Meetup. It is a little after 7, and we believe that time is your greatest asset. So we just want to honor everybody's time and get the meetup started. And thank you, folks, for choosing to spend your time here with us. If you guys don't know, my name is Brandon Rabe. I am an active out-of-state investor. I'm a real estate investing trainer, and I'm one of the co-hosts here at West Side Meetup. And before we get started, I did want to go over a couple of housekeeping items and then some announcements that I wanted to share. And then I'll bring on my my co-host here. So as far as housekeeping items go, number one, we just want to say that this meeting will be recorded. So if you missed something, you want to watch it again, or if you want to share it with a friend, we're going to be posting it onto our YouTube channel and onto our Facebook group. So if you're not a part of our Facebook group already, please make sure to go ahead and join our Facebook group. In a moment, we'll throw it in the chat so you can just go directly to it. Number two is if you guys could please keep your mics on mute, just to minimize distractions for our guests and then for everybody else on the call. Please keep your mics on mute. And then the third thing is to keep post your questions in the chat. So throughout our conversation tonight, if something comes up that you want to ask a question about, go ahead and post it in the chat. And when we get to the Q&A portion, Gilbert or I will go ahead and ask those questions for you folks. All right. Oh, and the other thing is we are going to be having breakout rooms at the end of our conversation. So when we finish our conversation, don't go away. Please stick around. We're going to be going out into breakout rooms to network with each other and learn more about each other. As far as announcements go, we have an upcoming event, Faux Real Estate. It's an in-person event happening at Kapolei Embassy Suites on August 10th at 6:30 p.m. It is a paid event, so make sure you go and get your tickets before they sell out. I believe we will post that in the chat tonight as well, soon. And the other event we have is Real Estate at the Park. It's another in-person networking event that we hold geared specifically for out-of-state investors. So whether you are active or brand new, come out, network with other out-of-state investors. That's happening on Oahu, by the way. That's going to take place on August 20th. The time and location is to be determined. We normally promote it on our social media. So if you're not already connected with us on social media, either on Instagram or Facebook, please go ahead and connect with me, Gilbert, or any of the other WNN Properties advisors here on the call, and you can get that information. All right. Lastly, we put up Westside Meetup for you folks at no cost to you. The only thing we ask is that if you guys found value from coming tonight, if you learned something new, if it changed your perspective, please take a screenshot, take a boomerang, whatever it is. Go ahead and share that on social media. Make sure you tag us and our guests and anybody else that you meet here on the call. We just want to spread the word about West Side Meetup and let other people know about what we're trying to do here. All right. So outside of that, I did want to bring on my co-host, the handsome Gilbert Coloma. Hey, Gilbert, what's going on?
All right, Brandon, thanks for the introduction. And wow, call me handsome, man. Must have combed my hair today. But anyway, for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Gil Coloma. An active Daniel, yes, an active out-of-state investor. Investing in the Midwest, looking to grow my portfolio, all while working a W-2. I'm not gonna lie, it is a challenge, but it's doable. And just trying to grow that passive income to hopefully retire sooner rather than later one day, right? And I am like Brandon. I am also a real estate investing coach with WNN Properties, as well as a financial coach. Just follow me at my Instagram tag here at Gil_Coloma1. But I am excited to bring on our guest tonight, Leo and Lisa Vlachakis. Hope I didn't butcher the last name, but I've had the pleasure of running into them at our local real estate meetups out here on Oahu, and found out they are in the midterm rental space. So, while Brandon and I were brainstorming what topics to cover on West Side Meetup, we came to the conclusion that we haven't covered midterm rentals yet. And of course, Leo and Lisa came to mind, and we asked them, and they graciously accepted our invitation. So Leo and Lisa, they are a couple here. They live in this beautiful town called Eva Beach, right down the road from me and Rod there. And they've been working the midterm rental space. Without further ado, I'll have Leo and Lisa take over and teach us a little something about midterm rentals.
Hi, everybody. We're excited to be here. I've put together a few PowerPoint slides, and then Leo's going to handle the Q&A. So yeah, like Brandon said, please feel free to put your questions in the chat. So let me get my presentation started here. All right, so a little bit about us. As my husband likes to say, we consider ourselves seasoned beginners. We're obviously a husband and wife team. We got started in real estate back in 2019. We bought our first out-of-state property, which we did the BRRRR method on, and we have it as a long-term rental now. The next year, we had the money for our next deal, but not the time and the energy for another out-of-state BRRRR, so we decided to go the turnkey route. And then in March of 2021, we bought doors 3 and 4, which are our midterm rentals, which is what we'll be talking about today. We've also provided some private and hard money loans on a little over 10 projects. We quit counting at about 10. And currently, we are equity partners in a BRRRR property in the short-term rental space in the Poconos. All right, so what are midterm rentals? They're a hybrid of the short-term and long-term rentals. So they're a furnished rental where all the utilities are included, but there's a lease agreement involved of at least 30 days. And typically, people looking for that type of housing are staying about 3 months. And why short-term rentals? So when we bought our doors 3 and 4, we were kind of debating, were we going to rent about long-term? Being in Hawaii, of course, our first thought was let's do short-term rentals. That's where the big money is. But for our area, it's illegal to have rentals less than 30 days. And with the new, I don't know if you're familiar with Bill 41 that just passed, it's about to be illegal for less than 90 days. So the midterm rental space is a good alternative for that area. You get higher rents than your traditional long-term rental, but then you don't have the time commitment and the frequent rotation of guests that's associated with the short-term rental. Another thing for us, at least, because we live on the same property as our midterm rentals, is the kind of tenant we want it to attract. So people who stay in midterm rentals are usually coming because of a job, so they have a job. And with, March 2021 was right in the middle of the, eviction moratoriums. There's really no end in sight, and so we decided to go with the midterm rental space. And also they have a home to go back to, so they won't be squatting in my property. And when I say that, travel nursing is where my experience is. I'm a nurse. I know travel nurses. And so when we first started this, that's kind of what came to mind for us, is one of the big benefits of being a travel nurse is the tax-free stipend. So, a nurse might be getting $2,000 a week extra tax-free, but to have that money be tax-free, they have to duplicate expenses. So when I say have a home to go back to, they're paying a mortgage or paying rent somewhere else also to be able to keep those stipends tax-free. So who stays in short-term rentals? Again, when we first started, we were just focused on nursing because that's what we knew. But our experience has been there's actually quite a variety of people looking for midterm rentals. So, obviously medical workers, nurses, physical therapists, we've had an occupational therapist, different sorts of techs, professors who are coming just for a semester, like as a guest lecturer somewhere. And then other contract workers. So we've had a pilot actually, and people who were coming here for construction work, university students, digital nomads. So we get quite a few applicants that are, with the new work from home model that a lot of people are getting to enjoy, they can work from anywhere. So of course, people want to come to Hawaii and work from here. Also slow travelers. So those that, with the FIRE movement, the financial independence, retire early, there's a lot of people that have the freedom to really, they want a vacation, but experience more of like the local lifestyle. So they'll come and stay for 1 or 2 months. And then also just local families who might be renovating their existing housing, or they're just moving here, or they're moving off island and they just really need something in the transition. We've also had an applicant who he and his wife are separating and just wanted something for a month while he transitioned into something more permanent. So I'll share with you our experience, and by no means is it the end all be all to how you can run your midterm rentals. We've learned a lot just by trial and error. There's not a lot of information out there. And so when we got started, we just had to try things. And if they didn't work, pivot and try something else. So this is our unit here. So we have 2. Over here on the right is a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. They're about 350 square feet. And then over here on the left is the other 1-bedroom, 1-bath. And they're actually just mirror images of each other. So I would say if you're considering this, the most important thing to look at, or the thing to at least look at first, is your location. So we are within 5 miles of a large hospital that hires travelers. How you can find out if a hospital hires travelers is I just went on as if I'm a travel nurse and I'm looking for a job. So there's lots of agencies, there's lots of job postings, and you can see what hospitals are hiring travelers. So what I found is that most hospitals, at least on Oahu, are hiring travelers. We're also within 10 miles of several other hospitals and different clinics. We're within 6 miles of the university and a community college. We're also within 5 miles of numerous golf courses. So again, for those slow travelers or digital nomads, thinking of like a vacation destination area, we're a 2-minute walk from the beach, and we're 1 mile from a beach park. All right, so what do travelers want? When we first started thinking about doing this, luckily I was at a meetup where someone was doing this. So I was picking her brain about things. And so what she has suggested is to join the travel nursing groups on Facebook. And so that's what I did. I joined as many as I could find. There's actually some that are specific for my area. And just read through, the posts. What are people complaining about? What are they looking for? There's landlords on there. There's people looking for housing on there. So it gave me a good idea of what was working for people and what wasn't. The top 2 things, just like with any probably traditional short-term rental, is a quality mattress and high-end bedding. Some other things are blackout curtains. A lot of nurses work nights, so they're sleeping during the day. At minimum in the bedroom, we chose to put them throughout the unit. Washer and dryer, preferably in the unit, but at least on site. The ability to prepare meals, and this doesn't even have to be a full kitchen. So our units are set up to have an oven, but they were not provided when we bought the property. So we decided not to put an oven with a full-size stove, and instead just did a 2-burner stovetop, an air fryer, a toaster oven, a traditional toaster, and that has worked out well for us. Because our units are small, we went with a smaller fridge. So not a mini fridge, but not a full-size fridge either. But the feedback we got from our tenants was that they really wanted a full-size fridge. So we have since transitioned out of the smaller fridges, and both our units now have a full-size fridge. Their own bathroom if sharing a unit. So renting out a midterm rental is a great way to house hack if you just are looking to rent out a room in your house. But take in consideration, if you're wanting to do that, that travelers want to have their own bathroom. The ability to bring a spouse or have visitors. Again, for us, because we have the separate units, obviously we don't care if people have visitors or have their spouses visit. But for the rent, if you're renting a room in your house, that's something that you'll want to think about, because some people, they have their spouse come for the weekend, or they want to have people over after work. So just think about if that's going to be a good fit for you. Because what I kind of see on the Facebook groups is people think, oh, I'm just going to rent out my room and make a quick buck, and then expect people not to have visitors over. So that's kind of a point of contention. So kind of think about that. if you're going to do a rent by the room. Also convenient parking and a safe environment. And I say safe environment, especially for nurses, because most nurses are women. They're traveling alone. They work odd hours. So they're coming home, like our current nurse now either gets off at 11 at night or 1 in the morning. So they're coming home late or they're leaving when it's still dark. So just making sure that, there's good lighting, there's, again, just kind of that safe environment, parking close by and things like that. All right, so marketing. We list exclusively on Furnished Finders and we stay completely booked doing that. So it's $99 for a year for one property, and there's a discount if you list additional properties. The woman that I was speaking of that I spoke to before, she said that she stayed booked completely through Facebook groups. So a lot of these groups, you can put your listing up there, or you can search the group for people looking for housing. We did not have great success doing that. Most of the people on Facebook were kind of flaky. They wouldn't follow through. And so we just went ahead and purchased the Furnished Finders membership. There's also, Airbnb and BRRRR. We did create a listing, but we've never had it go live because we've stayed fully booked with Furnished Finders. There's a lot of fees for the guests associated with Airbnb, and we would rather have any money the tenant pays go to us and not Airbnb. But again, we're ready to have our listing go live if we could, happen to find that we have vacancies. And then there's also Zillow and apartments.com. I'll talk about pricing later, but I also peruse these sites just to see what my competition's doing and just see, it's a good resource to see what other people are doing in your area. Okay, so screening and placing tenants. So what I did was just kind of create a step-by-step workflow of what we do. And I wish someone would have had this for us when we got started. And again, it's not the end all be all. There might be a better way to do it, but this is the process that right now is what's working best for us. So the initial communication comes through Furnished Finders. It's just a listing site. They have an email, I'll get a notice that I have an email or that somebody's inquiring about my property. And we just use that platform to message back and forth to them. We have pictures on there. Again, we didn't have professional pictures taken. If for some reason we weren't getting our listing booked, we probably would have gone that route. But so far, just having our own pictures up there have worked well enough. But what we did do is, while the units was empty, we created a video walkthrough and just walked through the property. It's about 4 or 5 minutes. And the reason we did that is because we didn't want to disturb current tenants when we're showing the next property. And since we stay booked consistently, this is a good way for people to be able to have this, the experience of kind of walking through the property remotely, but yet I'm not disturbing tenants. I'm not, wading through their stuff. It gets a little messy sometimes. So this is what's worked for us. If somebody messages us that they're interested, I send them a link to our YouTube video and see what they think. One of the biggest concerns, especially of nurses, is getting scammed. And unfortunately, it happens a lot. So, people will put a property up that they don't own, and then have nurses send them a deposit or first month's rent and then ghost them. So I offer to do a video call with people where I can walk the exterior of the property. I put myself on the YouTube video so they can see me in the video, they can see me in the call, the pictures match up, just kind of give that sense of security that everything's on the up and up. We try to be as transparent as possible. So if that all goes well, then we switch over to Turbo Tenant. So Turbo Tenant is just a property management platform that we use. There's lots of them out there. Turbo Tenant's free and it meets our needs, so that's what we've chosen to use. So we will email them a link through Turbo Tenant for a background and credit check. You'll see some people complain that, well, nurses get background check for their jobs, and that's true, but because not all of our applicants are nurses and we want to treat everyone the same, We just require a background and credit check for anyone over 18 who's going to be staying in the property. We haven't had anyone balk at that. But again, on those Facebook groups, that's sometimes what I read, is that people are a little wary of that, but we haven't had an issue. If that looks good, then we request a copy of their driver's license, and they can either text it or email it to us, just so I can verify that the name on the background and credit check matches what their ID says. And then I email them an invitation to pay a holding deposit. Again, that's through Turbo Tenant. And we just chose $800 because, you know, again, it's not so much that nurses think they're getting scammed, but at the same time, our deposit is not refundable if they cancel less than 30 days out. So it puts them a little bit of skin in the game, so they're not flaking on us, if that kind of makes sense. Luckily, we've only had one person who's had to cancel within that 30 days due to a contract getting canceled. But usually, you know, they pay the deposit, and then once they move in, it becomes their security deposit, and then is fully refundable, you know, provided there's no damages when they move out. So it's not like we're making the $800, only if they cancel would they lose their $800. And then for Hawaii requires that we email lead paint disclosures, and I email them a copy of the lease. We do the lease signing in person, but I like to go ahead and provide a copy so they can review it and have any questions ready when they show up. So again, being in Hawaii, everyone rents sight unseen. So I try to make it as easy as possible. You know, in our initial communication, I will email them a link of here's the steps that you can expect, so that there's no miscommunication or, you know, expectations are, you know, set early on. Okay, so what move-in day looks like is we walk the property. We don't want somebody here who doesn't want to be here. You know, like I said, we send pictures, we do a video walkthrough, but you know, sometimes you show up and it's not what you think it's going to be. So we haven't signed a lease. If they wanted to back out, we would let them. Of course, they lose their deposit, but you know, again, we just want to make sure that our tenants are happy and want to be here. At that point, we will review and sign the lease. I have found that it's, you know, a lot easier, again, to set those expectations at the beginning. So, you know, we live in a neighborhood, we have quiet hours, you know, we have the older pipes, not to flush things, bugs, you know, can't get away. We have pests come every month, but, you know, you still have bugs. So just kind of going through what they can expect living here. Parking, so parking's a big deal, you know, where they can and can't park. We collect the first month's rent when they move in cash, and then after that we use Turbo Tenant. And the reason we do that is Turbo Tenant unfortunately has an 8-day delay from when the tenant pays until we get the money. So we of course want to make sure that they paid before they move in, and we don't want to have to require them to pay before they get here. So we have found it's just easier to ask them to bring cash, and then, you know, everything's done. And then after that, they can pay via Turbo Tenant. And they, you know, what Turbo Tenant's nice because it sends them a reminder before rent's due to pay it. And then, you know, we get the notification that they've paid. And it also will send a reminder if it's past due, which luckily we haven't run into that problem. At that point, their holding deposit becomes their security deposit, which, like I said, would be fully refundable, provided there's no damages. And then we, you know, hand over the keys. So move out day is pretty easy. What we were doing is walking the property with the tenants and just giving them back $800 in cash that day because it was the easy thing to do. But the last couple tenants, we have found issues after they left. Not huge. So for example, you know, when we went to wash the sheets, noticed that the top sheet was missing. And it's like, so I messaged the tenant, they don't know where it is, but we're still stuck buying a whole set of sheets. And, you know, now I'm not going to get my money back, you know, so just little things like that. So what we currently do now is just walk through the property, get a forwarding address. And in Hawaii, you have 14 days to return their deposit. Okay, are midterm rentals right for you? So I would say, again, think about your location. You know, you want to be close to hospitals, close to universities, you know, in a vacation destination helps. So if there's only one hospital and, you know, for whatever reason that kind of dries up, you know, you want to have alternative tenant pools. Also an appropriate unit size. And so we have the 1-1s, studios are great. If you have larger units, I would think that they can work, but again, kind of think about that. You're going to be renting by the room. Most travelers don't travel with their families. They're usually one person, maybe it's a husband and wife. Every now and then we get people who are traveling with a friend and they would prefer a 2-bedroom, but obviously we don't have that, so we're unable to provide it. So it's usually people wanting 1 room. So, you know, kind of think about that with your unit size. If it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, that would be perfect. You know, people don't necessarily mind sharing a space. They just want to have their own bathroom. Also, you may need to self-manage. So, you know, don't hold me to this because I haven't looked for property management since we started last year. But at the time, there weren't any, at least for our area. You know, there's your long-term property management, and then you have your short-term property management. And there's really not been any infill on that in between. So I guess theoretically, you could have a short-term property management run your property, but they're charging, you know, 20 to 50%. And they don't have nearly the workload that they would have with the traditional short-term rental. So it's something to think about. And also you'll need to furnish a unit. So it took us about 2 weeks to furnish both of our units. We just bought 2 of everything when we went shopping, and it cost us about $16,000. If you've never furnished a unit completely, we had my sister come out and help us. It is mentally exhausting. Yeah, and you can hire it out. We did it ourselves, but just something to think about that it's a full-time job. You know, you're the person at Target with 3, you know, carts of stuff, and, you know, we're making 4 or 5 trips. You know, once to Target, once to Home Depot, back to Walmart. You know, you fill up your car and you have to leave and come back. So be prepared for that, especially, you know, in Hawaii. I had ordered a bunch of stuff on Amazon or put it in my basket thinking, oh, I'll just hit order when I get here. That was going to be perfect. And then, of course, can't get here. So think of, you know, something to think about as you get ready to furnish. All right, so last slide, most important, how much to charge. So please don't be like the people I see on the Facebook groups who are saying how much to charge. Don't ask Facebook. You know, what we do is I just went on Furnish Finders to see what's the, you know, right, the market will bear what the market will bear. And so this is Furnish Finders. And all I did was type in my neighborhood. So we're in Eva Beach. And I can search the map. The date's not important. And so here, yeah, I can filter. So if you're doing a rent by the room situation, you could, you know, just search by rooms. I'm going to click so that I'm only looking for an entire unit. I'm not sure how many people are here from off island. We
Lisa,
haven't really got it.
Can you share your screen? We're still on your PowerPoint.
Sorry about that,
That's okay.
guys.
No problem. Thank you. Thanks, Stacy.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Let's see here. Okay, how's that? Is that good? So I'll go back to the beginning. So this is the Furnish Finders website here. I just type in my city I'm looking for. So I can type in Eva Beach. And then I come over here to search map. And then from here, I can filter, you know, if I'm doing by the room or, you know, I'm not doing a hotel, so I'm going to deselect that. If you are off island, I would say having pet-friendly housing would be a big bonus because that's something that travelers struggle with, is finding places that take their pets. Here in Hawaii, because of the effort it takes to have a pet be able to come, we don't really get a lot that bring their pets. But just something to think about. And then over here on the map, what I do is I can just zoom in on my neighborhood. So here in Eva Beach, I don't really have a lot of competition. So that's nice. And what I looked for is when we were starting is, you know, what's available. So I can look here and see that right now the first availability isn't until August 1st. There's nothing available now, August 9th, September 1st. So I can see that, you know, there's the few places there are booked. You know, if I were looking here and there were 20 places all available now, I might be a little concerned that there's not the demand for the area, but I can see here that it is. I also spent a lot of time reading through other people's listings to see what are they offering, you know, what are they charging, things like that. One of the things I noticed for our area is they charge for a second person, which makes sense because, you know, with electricity here, having an extra person can make a big difference. So we decided to do that as well. So I'm going to click on our listing, which is down here. And this is, you know, what it would look like. So, you know, as far as rent goes, when we started last year, it was June before we went live with our listing. So we were charging $1,600 a month because that was at the low end in our area. And we just wanted to get somebody in, see how it went, you know, and we've slowly increased the rent every time we've had a turnover. So our newest tenant will move in on August 19th, and he will be paying $1,900 a month. On our other unit, when she's paying $1,800, but when she moves out, we will bump that up to $2,000. Again, we have that second person charge, and these are our pictures. So this was our smaller fridge. We now have the full size fridge. Again, nothing super fancy, you know, this isn't, you know, everything's clean and new, and but it doesn't have to be like your, you know, traditional. And we put that in our listing, right? Our house is the plantation style Hawaii house. It was built in the 50s. If you know, people are wanting a resort style stay, this probably won't be a good fit for them. And we put that in our listings. You know, our neighbors has chickens, you know, so we have the roosters in the morning. So we just try to be very upfront and transparent. As you can see, I really went through, try to be very thorough on my, you know, listing. As people would ask me questions, I would update my listing to put their questions in it. So, you know, maybe help the next person. We chose not to charge a cleaning fee. Some people do. And mostly because we feel like charging a cleaning fee gives people the impression they can leave the place dirty, and we just don't want to deal with a mess. Leo's our cleaner, so you know, he still washes everything. You know, we clean the floors. We do a cleaning, but we just don't want to be left with people leaving trash and dirty dishes and just junk. You know, so we don't choose to charge a cleaning fee. But again, when we sign the lease, we go over that we expect it to be in the same condition as when they move in. So that's the end of my presentation. I can stop sharing and turn it over to Leo for any questions.
Nice. That was a ton of information. Thank you for that PowerPoint and taking us through the Furnish Finders website, Lisa. That was awesome. But we do have some questions in the chat here. But before I start going through the questions, what's wrong with that electric company? They charge so much, don't they? I don't like those
Every
guys.
month it's more. I just,
I know, right? Anyway, we have Stacy Carroll here. She said she's just listed her condo as a midterm rental in Waikiki. She got a ton of messages, and she says we have our first tenant coming in September. Her worry is about booking her next tenant because she's already getting a lot of inquiries. So in case the current tenant gets an extension under contract, how have you guys, you know, dealt with that issue?
It is that is a concern because we've had tenants extend a stay. So we kind of tell them that we're going to reach out when it becomes available and when we know what the current available date's going to be. So we have kind of a list of people in order who wanted during specified dates. You know, some people we can really dial in on that date. Other people say, you know, it's going to probably be available around this time. So it is a concern, but it seems like we have a lot of people interested enough to where we can kind of plant the seed of knowing where it's at.
Yeah, so we require, we check in with our tenants. So for example, the one that's moving out August 18th, so July 18th, I just messaged her to say, are your plans still to move out August 18th? When she says yes, I get busy on the next tenant, like Leo says. We have a whiteboard in our office, so I just kind of write the names down. One hard lesson I learned on Furnish Finders is after 90 days, those messages get deleted. So make sure that you get a contact info outside of Furnish Finders, because we've lost tenants that way. I didn't realize that. And when I go back to reach out, their messages are gone. And when I reach out to Furnish Finders, they delete them after 90 days. So that's why we started implementing our whiteboard.
Nice. Have you guys dealt with that issue yet? Where there's an overlap?
Well, yes and no. We have, because we have a lot of interest on the days that our tenants are staying or that when they extend, but we have people that want it at a later date that we can start talking to them. So we have people that are contacting us from like let's say they want to come September, October, November, December. So they're already contacting us from now. So we kind of try to plan accordingly and communicate with our tenants at that point.
Yeah, so we don't commit to them, but we let them know as it gets closer, we'll get back in touch with you and we let them know either way, either they're extending or they're not, because sometimes it happens that way.
And we'll have a 30-day notice at that point, because we'll know for sure within 30 days, like before that 30-day period, whether it's going to be available or not, and we can fill it pretty easily at that point.
Nice. Okay, cool. Stacy, did that answer your question there? Kind of help? Right on. Thank you. Ellard has a question here. It says, do you foresee any issues with managing an out-of-state midterm rental? I guess he's looking at the out-of-state markets.
Yeah.
You want to take it?
Yeah, sure. So we manage one long-term rental out of state, and we have looked at other areas, like I said, with midterm rentals. Here in Hawaii, it's a little hard because with condos and the HOAs and things like that, and when there was a lot of that uncertainty around Bill 41, we didn't know what was going to happen. So I think it's possible. People, like I said, we self-manage a long-term rental. So really the only difference is having some better systems in place with your remote locks and, I would think, and this is just my own experience, if I were going to do it, I would go there at first, oversee the furnishing, do my videos that I'm going to put on YouTube, get my pictures, and that way I can send them everything, because right now that's how we do it. It's all remote. They're not here, they're somewhere else. The only thing we do in person is the lease signing and hand over the keys. So if you had remote locks and DocuSign leases, I don't see why it wouldn't be possible.
And a cleaner and someone just in case.
Yeah, cleaner.
Too.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, moving on to what we got here, midterm rentals. Stacy Johnson has a question. If you include a newer car with the rental, how much extra do you think you could charge, or we could charge? I guess this is coming from it's like a Turo,
Yeah.
or package deal.
We've done the Turo deal, and we probably won't go down that road again. But we do see a lot of listings that have that. It's like kind of the package deal. Like, well, if you rent this, we'll throw in the car for X amount of dollars more. But probably around $500 is what I would think would be kind of the sweet spot.
Yeah, and again, because nurses, there's a limit on how much extra they can afford to pay. And so I know with our current tenant, she was having a hard time finding a rental car that she could afford. So, I think and they don't care about it being, they're not here on vacation. They just need something to get them back and forth to work. So if they're, an older model car that, you could charge, I would think easily like $500 or $600 for the month. And then obviously you have to look into like commercial coverage for it. But you might could charge more than that, but what I've seen on Facebook groups is that tends to be what other people are charging travel nurses, because you'll see posts about renting my car out for a monthly rate of usually $500 to $600 is what people are listing their cars for.
Nice. And to attract more favorable professionals, I guess you can throw in a Costco gas card, right? That'll help a little bit, right? Especially with gas prices nowadays. Um, so with Daniel Kong has a question here. What do you think your place would rent as a long-term unit? So the long-term rental, if you know, the
We're actually
midterm rental space.
We're actually talking about that right before this meetup here. We didn't really look into that, you know, but we would think, you know, maybe around $1,500, you know, the, you know, the high end maybe. I don't know. We haven't looked at it, but that's kind of what we're thinking and what we were thinking when that was our fallback plan.
Nice. Multiple exit strategies, right? Especially in the real estate investing space. In Ever Beach, near the beach, I think you probably could get a little bit more than that, right?
Probably.
One more, Jessica, she's asking, do you have special insurance outside of standard rental property insurance, since tenants are a bit more transient compared to long-term tenants?
Yes. So because they typically stay less than 6 months, we have a B&B, a bread and breakfast. Yeah, thank you, policy. You know, our current tenant, one of them's been here more than 6 months, but it's like, we're not going to try to change their insurance based on somebody staying longer. And so we spoke with the broker, and that's the type of policy we have.
Nice, nice. I also have Diedrich here. He says, or they're asking, would you say MTR tenants usually take good care of the property, or do you still worry about them breaking things?
Oh, it's been wonderful. You know, if I wasn't such a OCD when it comes to cleaning and all that, you know, they leave it exactly how they got it. You know, maybe have to clean it a little extra because, you know, they don't have a vacuum or anything like that, but they really try hard to leave it exactly how they got it. So, you know, they respect it a lot more, I think, because, you know, they treat it like their own house while they're here.
Nice, especially with them staying there a little bit longer than short-term rental tenants, right? Nice.
We have it in our lease. If they break anything, we're not responsible for replacing it while they're here. We haven't had anyone break anything, but you know, I don't want people to think they have a carte blanche for, oh, broke a plate, oh, get a new one. You know, like, we haven't had that issue, but at the beginning, that was something someone had said. So we put it in our lease, and I do say that when we're going over the lease, but we, like Leo said, they've just been the most respectful and best tenants so far.
Oh, Rod Baker has a good one here. He's asking, have you ever thought of mopeds instead of cars?
That's what our last tenant, the one who I was just saying who lives here now, she's asked me, could I get a moped? And I said, well, she works at the hospital down the street. And I said, well, down the street, yes. I personally would not take a moped outside of Ever Beach, but
I don't know if I can handle another moped in Ever Beach, so I may just boycott it just out of principle.
But
That's
especially
funny.
if you were like whoever it was that was going to be renting Waikiki, I mean, I think that's a good alternative just to scoot around, you know, town. But as far out as we are, people, you know, they're here to travel. They're here because they want to experience Hawaii. So they're probably not going to be staying in Ever Beach the whole time.
Sure. And Frank Arthur has a question. I think he joined a little late, but he's asking, is cash flow in the MTR space more productive than long-term rental?
Yeah, I mean, we think so. We haven't really crunched the numbers, but when we first decided to do this, you know, after we sold the house in California and we're looking for the property that would check all the boxes, we think it does pencil out more. And with the, and not just that, it's just the peace of mind of knowing that like we won't get any squatters. You know, it's really nice knowing that they have a home to go home to. So it's like worst case scenario, you know, 3, 4, 5 months. And then they're going to have to leave for sure. So that having that peace of mind is also pretty priceless too.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, just to be clear, so we live on the property, so it's hard to run numbers like you normally would because we live here, so we would be paying this mortgage regardless of if we had the Ohana units or not. So it's nice they more than cover our mortgage. So that's what we were looking for when we were searching for property, is how can we live in Hawaii and not go broke.
Yeah,
So,
because once you start learning about real estate, you always want to look
Right.
at opportunities.
can
Can you
I
make
live for
opportunities to make
free?
money? How's
Yeah.
that? So we thought about all that, and we just got really blessed that it more than covers our mortgage, and we have our house here, and it's wonderful.
Nice. Man, the chat is blowing up about lifted golf carts in Ever Beach. So
I
have you
want
guys ever
one.
considered?
I'm so jealous. That's on my list of things I want.
There's some nice ones. They're
Oh, yeah.
lifted with the chrome rims and the speakers.
Lights
Yeah.
and everything. Yeah, golf carts are the way to go around here.
Yes, I've seen them go through the McDonald's drive-through
Yeah.
here in Ever Beach. So
Yeah.
it's a normal thing in Ever Beach, I guess. So
We're getting used to it. Nothing surprises me now. Nothing surprises me.
Eller is asking, did you have a template for your leases, or did you have to create one?
So we, through networking, we were on another meetup group based in Hawaii before we moved here, just to try to get to know people. And we met a real estate agent who gave us a lease. So that's how we got a lease. And then we just added the language about, so at the beginning, it's hard. I literally just went through the house, and everything that's in the apartment is on the lease to say, here's what's here. And so those kind of modifications we added, but we use the framework of a lease that a realtor uses.
Yeah, we used the boilerplate one and just beefed it up and added our own language and everything to tailor it to our units.
Nice. Awesome. I think we've covered everything in the Rod Baker has a good one. This may be the last one for the night here while we transition into the breakout rooms. But what is the biggest mistake you have learned so
In
far?
the midterm rental scene, or just in real estate? Real estate.
Midterm rental scene.
I would say to set firm guidelines when you're screening tenants, because at first, like I said, I was using the Facebook groups, and people would, oh yes, I'm interested, but they wouldn't submit the background check. Oh, I'm going to do it tomorrow. Oh, I'm going to pay the deposit, Friday. And so we just kind of got burned by that. And honestly, I just got tired of waiting. So what I have found is, if people are interested, they're going to take the next step immediately. So I send the background check, and I say 48 hours. If they don't do it, I'm just on to the next person.
Yeah, she's cutthroat.
I am.
I'm not
Deposit, same thing. So on the deposit through Turbo Tenant, you can put a due date on it, 48 hours. If deposit's not paid, I message to let them know that, I'm moving on with the next person, and either they can pay it right then or not. Because with all those, I have found that the turnaround time on Turbo Tenant is immediately. So if they do the background check, I'm getting an email then to say they're doing it, so I can know right away. So that, I would say that at the beginning I'm a nurse. I feel bad for people. I want to be, the nice and, oh yes, I can wait. And we were just dragging our feet on getting our units filled. And so now I just at that 48 hours, and the people who flake on that aren't going to get it anyways. And people who are interested, they're doing it like within an hour or two. So.
And also not being afraid to say no. We've had
Yeah.
situations where the credit checks and background, the background's been fine, but the credit check, not so hot. So it's like we just set boundaries and be firm about it. Like, you didn't check all the boxes. Sorry, we got to move forward.
Nice. Gotta stick to your guns, right? Or else they'll run all over you. And awesome. So I'd like to close out this portion of the presentation as we transition over to the breakout rooms. But before I close out this session, I'd like to say thank you to Leo and Lisa. That was a ton of value that you guys added to our community here, sharing about the midterm rental space. Thank you again for sharing your knowledge and bumps and bruises along the way, right? Getting that Ever Beach home, into the midterm rental space. And I'll be on the lookout for a golf cart for you, Leo.
Thank you.
But yeah, Brandon, did you have any other, questions or comments that you wanted to make?
Sure. No, I think this is a lot of good information tonight. Thank you, Leo and Lisa. Even just walking through your systems, right? Just breaking it down, just really going in depth with it. I think that's the biggest thing I took away, breaking it down from leasing to move-in date, move-out date. I mean, yeah, thank you for sharing your information with us tonight. in case people want to get in touch with you, what is the best way for them to connect with you guys?
We posted our Instagram at Leo and Lisa V, and you can message us, and then we'll definitely give our phone numbers out if you contact us. We're an open book. You know, we'll share numbers, whatever you want to know. We have nothing to hide.
Awesome, great, thank you for that. Otherwise, no, Gilbert, I'm good on my end.
Sure. Okay, as we transition over to while Brandon starts creating the breakout rooms there, and as we transition, that little token of appreciation that Brandon asked for, if you guys found value tonight, please tell friends and family, have them follow us on Westside Meetup. Also upcoming events, follow us on our Instagram posts. We will be posting about the For Real event on August 10th in the Embassy Suites out here in Kapolei, as well as Real Estate in the Park. I believe that's going to be August 20th. It's a Saturday. Time and place TBD, to be determined. So as we coming out networking as a group is what it's all about right now in the real estate investment space. And I've found that it is where you need to be to grow the business and to grow yourself, right? That's what it's about, this community, right? Are we looking on those breakout rooms, Brandon?
I'm just about done. If you guys don't plan on staying, thank you guys for coming out. Go ahead and excuse yourselves just so that we can finalize these breakout rooms so that
Yes.
we can head in there.
Thanks again, everyone, for joining us on this last Wednesday. Appreciate everyone showing up on Westside Meetup. Please be on the lookout. We will be, posting about our next Westside Meetup for next month. Please join us again, last Wednesday of August.
Awesome. Okay, and we should be off. So we're gonna jump into breakout rooms right now, and it'll be about 25 minutes. And if Gilbert didn't already share it, sorry, I was trying to manage everything. But basically, if we can go into these rooms and share who we are, what we do in real estate, and to stay on topic of midterm rentals, the question I want to ask you folks is, how does midterm rentals fit into your portfolio? Is it something that you would consider? If you're already doing midterm rentals, how's that working out for you? All right, so there's going to be about 5 or 6 of us in each group. We're going to go out for 25 minutes. After that, we'll come back together in our main group for any last minute announcements. If you guys got something going on, you can share it with the group as in general. And then we'll get you guys out of here by 8:30 p.m. All right, so without further ado, I will see you folks in the breakout rooms.